ready to.
Well, I can cut anything out you want me to cut out.
Just cut my bit, so yeah. Okay, very good afternoon to you, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Second Ports Pub, my local pub here in Hastings. This is where I do my alcoholic beverages. So if anybody wants to come along and entertain me and give me a few pints, absolutely fantastic. Don't be shy, that's absolutely fine. Now, before we start today, there's just a couple of things that I just want to run through you. I'll run by you, even better. What is quite important is these meetings are designed for your good selves. These meetings are for people like yourself who have this interest, who have this desire to find out more about the strange world of the weird and the wonderful. So if anybody has any experiences, anything you want to unload or get off your chest, you're in the right environment. Don't be shy. Come and see myself and I'll listen to you, and then we can take it forward from there. So that's absolutely not a problem at all. Do feel free to do so. Now, the aims of SPI as a society is to collect, research and publish accounts relating to most aspects of strange phenomena, and to purposely endeavour to try and come up with some answers to account for what at present eludes us. Now, we at SPI do not hold or express any preconceived ideas as to the nature of the events of which we research. We tend to keep an open mind and try and see where that evidence leads us effectively. Let's see where that evidence leads us, because it's so important. Now, for those who don't know me, I've been involved in this subject for many, many years now, more than I probably can care to remember. And as some of you who do not know me, I always say this at my meetings, I did start off sceptical. I was very, very sceptical. I thought there was nothing to do with UFOs and ghosts. There's no substance to these things. There's no such a thing as a ghost or a UFO. How wrong was I? The more you get involved with the subject, the more you talk to people and find out about these things, then there's clearly no smoke without fire. There's clearly something very unusual going on. Now, I've spoken all over the world, mostly Europe to be honest with you. First Scotsman to speak in Lachlan in Nevada, first Scotsman to speak in Ireland, twice Donegal, and also the first speaker who spoken in France, in Strasbourg. And it's great for me, and I'll just let these gentlemen come in. Hi, Stephen. Nice to see you, sir. Okay, okay, so just while the two gentlemen come in, so this takes me a little bit more about myself. I'm also very, very fortunate to be one of the first people in the world, or one of the few people in the world, to have gone down in the Loch Ness submarine. So I'm very, very chuffed at that. That was back in 1994. And I've written 4 books. This is 3 books. The first one was UFO Case Files of Scotland, followed by the Paranormal Case Files of Great Britain, and also UFO Case Files of Scotland, Volume 2. I've just recently published another book, which is this one, entitled The Monsters of Loch Ness. And it's quite a hefty book, it's quite a hefty tome. And to me, I'm so proud of this book, because it's a lifetime's work involved with this. And we go through a various range of stories, from the waterhorse, the Scottish Kelpie legends. We look at the scenarios coming from Russia and China, all these their monsters, etc. And then we look at the actual sightings from the 1930s right through to present day, right through to the underwater explorations by Dr. Robert Rines, the photographs, etc. So this is where you can get it. If anybody's want to write that down, www.lulu.com. This is my plug time, you see. And also Amazon. It's also available on Kindle. But I hate Kindle with a passion, because I'm from the old school, I'm an old guy, and I prefer just a book lying in bed turning it rather than a Kindle, but each to their own. So I'm very proud of the Monsters of Loch Ness, and it really caters for everything. Now, anybody who has a mobile phone, most of the people do have a mobile phone, and I'll stand over here so you can't see the screen there. Anybody who has a mobile phone, could you please put it on silent or off? That's entirely up yourself. Anybody who wants to get information about our society today, that's the phone number, the email address, and also the Facebook site. As far as fire exits go, I'm going to do this by law. I'm going to tell you where the fire exit is.
Oh, do like an air hostess, please, you have to.
It's to my left and it's to my right. Actually, that's not true. It's the front door you came in. Sadly, there's no back. There is a back door, but it's a walled garden, as you probably saw. So the fire exit downstairs. Follow me. I'll be first out. Don't be worried. That's fine. And we have with us today, all the way from York, a lovely, lovely man, Alien Bill Rourke, and his lovely lady Vic, who's travelled down from York to be with us today. And later on in today's presentation, Bill's going to talk to us about his art photographs. And these are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And he's also going to show us some amazing photograph of a fairy. Correct? You heard right? Of a fairy, yes. What? Fairy? Yes, absolutely. So yeah, be prepared for this. Now, I just like showing these slides just before we go into the talk proper. And this is a very, very true slide. I hope you can read it at the back. And it's true because it says, just because you didn't see something doesn't mean it isn't there. Right? We laughed at Marconi, we laughed at John Logie Baird, that thing will never work. We laughed at the Wright brothers, that thing will never fly. Oh, sorry, I was phone, sorry.
Whoopsie.
So just because something looks and sounds ridiculous doesn't mean to say that it is. We shouldn't laugh at things because it sounds preposterous. That's not the way science works at all, absolutely not. And when you look at the vastness of the cosmos, are we truly, really alone in all this vastness of space? Certainly, for myself and my colleague, Alien Bill Rourke, we don't think so. And I'm sure some of you seasoned campaigners here in the audience today will agree that, yeah, we are dealing with something. The vast majority of UFO reports have natural, identifiable solutions as high as 95% can easily be explained away. And it's that small 5% that myself and my colleagues are interested in, and that's a major thing. Now, yeah, we founded SPI, as I said a moment ago, back in 1979, up in Scotland. You may have noticed I have this accent, but I keep it away. I moved down to England in 1998. I lived initially in London, and then Carshalton and Sutton, and moved down to Hastings in 1997. So I've been here since then. It's quite an extensive bill that we have here today, ladies and gentlemen, and this is an informal meeting, so I always would like to tell you that if you want to get up at any time to use the toilet or get a pint of beer, especially for me, feel free. Feel free to do that. Don't sit on really gasping for a pint or something like that. Absolutely go. So don't be shy. We won't sing a song and laugh at you as you come down past me. No, I don't know about Bill Bumley. And no, but seriously, because these talks are quite long, etc. And we're in a hot, stuffy room. A couple of windows are open. I'll actually move that window open a wee bit more in a moment. So yeah, feel free to do that. It's not a problem. A quick catch-up for those wondering, Malky, you've not done a lecture for a wee while in Hastings. What's been going on, son? Okay, quick catch-up. Last year I was fortunate enough to be invited onto daytime television along with this nice fella, Sean Ryder of the Happy Mondays, and I did 2 live spots with Amanda Holden and Phil Schofield. It wasn't a mistake. I thought they'd give me a hard time, but they didn't. And sadly, when I start talking, you'll find it very, very difficult to shut me up. I'm talking fast, and this is the real me today, but when I do any television stuff, I'm more refined and slow, and because I know that a lot of people are watching. So you can find it on YouTube.
And your point is?
We were talking, it was World UFO Day last year, it was July or something, and I managed to hop a line late, and eventually Amanda went, yes, and Sean, could you come in here? You've seen something as well, Sean, haven't you? So I was hogging the line late, but it's good fun. I'm also the assistant editor of the internet-based magazine entitled Outer Limits, and you can catch up on Facebook and on the internet, so look out for that, Outer Limits. That's a big hefty magazine on there. I was speaking recently in April at the UFO Truth magazine at Watford along with Gary Heseltine, Alan Foster and Ben Emlyn Jones, and that was lovely, really nice to be invited to there. This year we did a big conference in June at the Glasgow University, of which Heidi, you were there, and 1 or 2 other people were there. And again, Heidi's filmed this. If you want to see a film of how that went, see Heidi at the back, she's running the thing today. So yeah, it was a fantastic. We had Charmaine Fraser talking about Bigfoot, Gordon Rutter, Larry, well, sadly Larry couldn't speak. Big story about that, I ain't going to go into it today.
But he called from Australia, yeah?
He called from Australia, allegedly. big story with that one. But it went off well, and I was so happy with a fantastic crowd in that one back in June there. I'm also, in a few months' time, speaking at the ASAP, Association for the Study of Scientific Anomalous Phenomena. Jesus, I'll never get that out. That's up in Reading. And the venue has now been changed to the Quality Hotel. It was at a different venue. There's a lot of big top name speakers there. I hope, as you can see from this slide, we're talking everything. Yeah, cryptozoology, ghosts, vampires, mediums, consciousness, earth mysteries, the whole shooting match. So that's coming up in September. I'm also speaking at the Nottingham Galleries of Justice in October, along with Barry Fitzgerald, Paul Bradford, Richard Felix, Jason Love, what's his name? Simon Eccleston, and Ben Emlyn Jones. So it's when they stop asking me, that's when I know I'm on the way out, you know. Yeah, they don't love me.
No, you're on your way out with me last night.
Certainly was, Bill, certainly was. I've also been invited back to talk at big psychic weekends with Gordon Smith and Keith Charles, various other people, Gary Mannion, Gary Wright, Colin Fuller. That's coming up. Again, anybody that wants details of these events, do let me know. I'm also speaking at another big weekend. This is in Weston-super-Mare, along with Derek Okora. Yes, we all have our thoughts and feelings about Derek Okora, which I won't go into here, but all I will say is I still genuinely do think he has the gift.
He has,
But
definitely.
it gets hammed up and all the rest of it. I could say a lot more, but I best not look at the video today. So yeah, there's a lot of people, people say, you know, you've got Jackie Robinson, Ashley Robinson, no relation. There's no relation at all. I'm also speaking next year at our big Outer Limits conference. Where's that? It's up in Hull, along with Philip Mantle, a very good friend of mine, Russell Callaghan, Paul Sinclair and Mike Cavell. And that's going to be our own magazine conference up in Hull next year. And I mentioned about the Loch Ness book, so that's fine. We won't plug that too much, so maybe we will. Oh dear, there's another slide. How did that get there? And I spent years doing this book, getting up at 2 in the morning and working away, and it's a finished product now. Right, here we go. Here's a wee story for you lovely people. You sit and come. They're a better begin. As a researcher, we get told many stories from Joe Public. And the most recent story I heard came from a lady from Hastings. She's a nurse, and she works in a hospital. Now, I'm not allowed to tell you the name of the hospital. All I can tell you is it's in East Sussex. And she told me, this is what she said to me. Malcolm, you'll never believe this, right? Okay, what's happening? One of the doctors here in this hospital is a really stuck up with his own backside, but he's bloody good. He's a very serious guy and he knows what he's doing. But he's always fooling himself. But anyway, you'll never guess what happened. Well, come on then, tell me what happened. Well, he's gone into one of the wards. This is not a photograph of that ward. This is just an illustration of a ward, just so you can get a picture in your mind's eye. So he was walking into this ward, and he saw a gentleman trying to get into the children's ward. Are you alright, mate? Are you okay? I don't know. What? I don't know. No, are you okay? Where should you be? I don't know. And then beep, 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 his beeper went off, and he had you wanted in resource immediately. Went, oh, I better. Where did he go? We didn't know. Must make sure we need double doors. So he went to resource, and I got the paddles in this guy, you know, the paddles to try and pump the heart and get the heart restarted. And he looked, Jesus Christ! It was the guy he had just been speaking to a moment ago, and he was in shock. He was in absolute shock. So they reviewed the CCTV television footage, and they rewound it back, and you could see the doctor talking to nothing. He was there, but this guy was there. Now, to me, I think that's a fantastic. And the guy's been signed off work. This doctor's been signed off work. He's just in total shock. He's off work. And this nurse told me in conference, she says, Malcolm, don't mention the hospital. I can't tell you the doctor's name. And it's just because I'm a big believer in life after death. I wasn't at first, but the evidence is bloody overwhelming. It really is. And I don't say that whimsically, it really is. When you look for it, when you look at that evidence, that was amazing. Right, okay, we're going into today's talk proper. Like I said, it's quite a long talk. We'll be speaking about 9/11. We'll be speaking about showing some of the best ghostly photographs that I've accumulated over the years. I'll be showing you some photographs of the Virgin Mary, that's right, yeah, that's all here as well. And then we'll be looking at some of my own personal UFO encounters that I've experienced over my life. And then this lovely, lovely fellow drinking his Budweiser, where is he? Oh, there he is. It's going to entertain you with some wonderful tales about orbs and the fairy photograph. Okay, everybody knows this, but let's have a look at it. One of the most, as you can see from the slide, one of the most horrendous tragedies in modern history occurred back in September 11, 2001, when a terrorist attack was centred on some buildings in Washington State. So my talk here today is to provide you with just some, and it's only some, of the many inconsistencies with the official 9/11 report. Because when you look at the official 9/11 report, well, it looks like, okay, yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Rubbish, not at all. So I'm going to run through some of these slides, talk to you about this, and I'm going to ask you, as the slide says here, keep an open mind. Look at it. You might not be convinced, you might say, no, I'm sorry Malky, you still didn't convince me. But at least keep an open mind. Who were? Who were the real terrorists? Was it Al-Qaeda or the American government? Was it an inside job? That's the main thing we've got to ask ourselves. Now, I put these slides together recently, and so, you know, obviously it's a bit of reading off the slides, unfortunately, but here we go. It was opened in 1970 after 8 years of construction. 16 blocks were cleared to house the completed World Trade Center buildings, and more than 10,000 workers were involved in building the complex. That's quite a lot. And more than 60 of them died during the construction of both the towers. The complex covered 16 acres when finished, and the towers were different heights. The South Tower was 1,362 feet tall, North Tower 1,368. And 68 miles of steel were used in the construction of the buildings. These are interesting facts, just to give you for instance, about the buildings themselves. And as it says, the concrete poured was enough to build a road from New York to Washington DC, so quite a lot of concrete was used. The steel inside the World Trade Center could have made 3 more Brooklyn bridges, sorry. And the Twin Towers had more than 16 miles of staircases. And there were over 43,600 windows in both the towers. 75,000 telephones were maintained by 19,600 miles of cable. The centre used more power in one day than most small American cities. Superstars Frank Sinatra, John Lennon, Mick Jagger and Liza Minnelli all sang in the World Trade Center restaurants. And 87 tons of food was delivered to the buildings every single day. Wow. A massive amount. 110.3 million in gold and 120.7 million in silver was buried in the rubble. So they tell us. It's the first skyscraper in the world destroyed by terrorists. Now, as you know, all know, you know, it's one of the world's worst atrocities. It was a series of 4 coordinated terrorist attacks presumed, and that's the big word, presumed to have been carried out by the Islamic group Al-Qaeda in New York City, Washington DC, and the metropolitan area on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. The attacks, let's not forget those people who sadly lost their lives, killed 2,996 people, and allegedly includes 19 hijackers, and caused around about 10 billion in property and infrastructure damage. 4 passenger airlines were hijacked by allegedly 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists and flown into the buildings in suicide attacks. 2 of the planes, American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175, crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Centers. All facts that we know, sadly. And a 3rd plane, American Airlines Flight 77, was crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense, leading to a partial collapse in its western side. The 4th plane, United Airlines Flight 93, was targeted at Washington DC but crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after its passengers tried to overcome the hijackers. It was, as you can see, the deadliest incident for firefighters and law enforcement officers in the history of the United States, with 343 and 72 killed respectively. So, Was this guy here, this guy you're looking at on the slide, was he truly the mastermind behind the destruction of the Twin Towers? Or was it just a false flag, what we call a false flag, an inside job if you like, perpetrated by the United States to give them a reason to invade Afghanistan? Did they need a reason? Was this, do you kill your own citizens? Do they really give you a reason? Okay, we're going to have a look at some of the points of this. So let's have a wee look at some of the facts relating to the case. Okay, first and foremost, the question. The question here is, why did the world's most powerful air force fail to intercept any of the hijacked planes? The conspiracy people would say, well, the US Vice President Dick Cheney ordered the military to stand down and not to intercept the planes. The official 9/11 report will tell us this was a highly unusual multi-hijacking with violence on board. Its transponder which identifies the plane was turned off or changed, plus there were a military training exercise taking place that day at the United States Air Force Command. Question. Why did the Twin Towers collapse so quickly after fires on a few floors lasting for such a short time? 56 minutes for World Trade Center 1, 102 minutes for World Trade Center 2. Conspiracy people would say that the Twin Towers were destroyed by controlled demolitions. There were reports of explosions before the actual collapse of the towers. The official report would have us believe that an extensive inquiry by the National Institute of Standards and Technology concluded that the planes severed and damaged support columns and dislodged fireproofing. Around 10,000 gallons of jet fuel was spewed over many floors, starting widespread fires. The floors began to sag, the perimeter columns, that was bouncing down, caused the sounds of the explosions. The massive weight of the floors dropped, creating a dynamic load far in excess of what the columns were designed for. This is again back to the official report. This is what they're saying. Controlled demolition is nearly always carried out from the bottom floors up, yet this collapse started at the top. Now this is one of the slides that has came through the internet, etc. And people would say, well, surely that's an explosion, surely that's the floors have been detonated, possibly. But also, even though I think there's something suspicious going on, I'm still happy to believe that maybe it was a pancake effect. Bang, bang, bang. The floors are going down, and as such, all this concrete is moving out. So maybe it's not a controlled explosion, maybe it's just a pancake effect and just jettisoning out this. So I don't know. But this is very unusual, and this one here. Are we truly to believe that this passport, which was found in the pulverised rubble, was one of the terrorist passports, and it was clean as a whistle? It was found just lying there, clean as a whistle. Yeah, that's kind of strange.
No, it's funny.
These are all checkable facts,
It's
all checkable facts. What about the steel girders? Now, I don't know if we've got any guys who's been in the construction industry or demolition industry here today, but when you're destroying a building, you put the charges at an angle so that the building slides down. It does, if you did it the long way, it would just fall on itself. You put the controlled charges like that. And if you look at some of the girders in the 9/11 ground zero, you'll see that many of the beams were cut like that. They were sheared off. These are two guys actually putting explosive charges to assist the building come down in free fall. And when the people went in, took a lot of photographs, and went, oh my God, this was a controlled demolition. Why is the pillars sheared off like that? I mean, what's going on there? And again, if you just want to look at them there, lots of these pillars were found at ground zero. And people, you can either go two ways. You can either say, well, yeah, it looks like a controlled explosion, or maybe it just happened like that. Maybe it's just one of these uncanny similarities or something. It's the coincidences like that. Possible, but I don't know. And then you've got to look at other buildings that's been destroyed by fire throughout the world. The Windsor building in Madrid, in Spain, burned for 20 hours. This is it here, burned for 20 hours, and yet it never fell down. Now, admittedly, it was a really severe fire, but nothing flew into it, admittedly. But it burned, it never fell down. as opposed to these other buildings here. We'll come to World Trade Center 7 building in a moment. So yeah, it's just to illustrate, fire and heat the building in Madrid, 20 hours there, and yet the World Trade Center buildings collapsed in their own by freefall. This is another one, 63 stories burned out of control for hours, no steel beams melted, and it never collapsed at free fall speed in its own footprint. So what's going on? Why did the Twin Towers collapse like that? We'll come to all these questions, I'll elaborate a wee bit more. As I say, it's quite a lot to take in with this one. And people, when they research all these incidents, they find some strange synchronicities. One of which was if you fold a $20 bill, and like that, you get what appears to be the Twin Towers and smoke rising out of them. So if anybody's got a $20 bill in their back pocket, do have a look, because seriously, if you fold it in half, it looks like that. Coincidence? Yeah, of course it is. It's just one of these coincidences, for sure. One of the main things that the conspiracy people would have you look at is building number 7. Now, never forget that no plane at all hit building number 7. And at 5:20 on 9/11, it collapsed suddenly, straight down in its own footprint at free fall speed in a compact pile of debris. And it's got the characteristics of what we call crimp. Where if you've seen any demolitions on YouTube or on the television, you'll see a wee fold in the top part of the building. It came down, straight down, never fell to the side, fell to the right, whatever, came straight down on its own footprint. And all these and other inconsistencies were very, very prevalent to the American people at the time, and they went, there's something not quite right here. We want to challenge the official 9/11 report, and many other societies and groups started to form to find out and dig and dig and dig and try to find out what was going on. And I mean, I could put on video footage of the buildings falling, but we've got a lot to carry through here today, and maybe we can do that later. But question, how could a skyscraper, which was not, as I said, hit by a plane, collapse so quickly when no other steel frame skyscrapers has ever collapsed because of fire? The conspiracy theorists would say that it was destroyed by a controlled demolition using both explosives and incendiaries. But the official report would tell us that a 3-year investigation by the National Institute of Standards Technology said that the building collapsed because of uncontrolled fires which burnt for 7 hours. A few fires, we saw the Madrid building burned for over 20 hours, never fell down, but a few fires on building 7, and yeah, sorry, I just came down its own footprint, but we're having a laugh. And this one here, this is a BBC World News update when the terrible events were unfolding. Obviously they stopped a lot of news reports, or programmes I should say, to interject what was going on over in America. And this lady is talking about the World Trade Center building 7 had fell down, collapsed, and yet it can still be seen in the background. Now, I'm not going to put too much stock on this one.
Don't pay your TV licence.
I'm not going to put too much stock in this one because there are always time delays and stuff, so I'm not really sure if she was talking about it and they were just showing an old kind of bit of video footage or 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes footage before, so I'm not really sure about that. But this is always when it comes up, she's gone on, it's still there. It's meant to be live, so what's going on here? And when you look at what was actually in building number 7, they included the Central Intelligence Agency, the Department of Defence, the Internal Review Service, Secret Service. All these people were in this building. Rudy Guillén's emergency bunker was at the foot of that. And Security and Exchange Commission were using it to store 3,000 to 4,000 files related to numerous Wall Street investigations. Oh, how interesting that this building fell and we've lost all that information, isn't it? Amazing. As I say, not hit by a plane, no major fires. Yeah, there were a few fires, but nothing major, and bang, it collapsed in its own freefall. Many engineers have put their name to it saying, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with this. This guy here, he said, in my professional judgment, fires did not bring down the 3rd building, building 7, that collapsed on 9/11. He's not the only one. Many other similar guys of his ilk said, you know, I smell a rat here, I definitely smell a rat, something's going on. Yeah, just another one in China recently. An explosion equivalent to 21 tons of TNT, and that building's still standing. And you know, it's crazy when you look at it. The destruction, as we all know, sadly, was quite extensive. World Trade Centre 5 got into fire, number 7's fallen down there, World Trade Centre 6. I mean, let's not forget, and you know, it really was a horrible day for the people of America to have to go through something of this nature. There's no denying that. But we go back into the Shanksville crash now. Obviously, another terrorists were alleged to have taken this plane, and Flight 93 crashed in a field, killing all the passengers. And when the emergency personnel responded to the scene, they all remarked, "Oh, wait a minute, it doesn't even look like a plane crashed here." The coroner commented there were no bodies, no luggage or plane. And what is more disturbing, this is the first time that any significant sign of a crash of a plane at a crash site, there were nothing there. And previous to that, at any crash site, you'll always find bodies, you'll always find debris, but nothing was found at the Shanksville area. And let me illustrate this a wee bit more. We're going to question. Why then was the crash site at Shanksville, Pennsylvania so small? And why were there not any aircraft debris visible? As I said, the coroner reported that there were no bodies lying around. Emergency agencies responded that this doesn't even look like a crash site. What's going on here? The conspiracy people would say that the plane was shot down by a missile and disintegrated in mid-air, scattering the wreckage over a large area, which is possible. The official report would have you believe that there's no photographs of the debris. Oh, sorry, there are photographs of the debris, I beg your pardon. And also there had been a passenger revolt and that the hijackers crashed the plane. The military never gave any orders to shoot down the plane. This is all in the official report. So again, you can take out that what you want. Now look at this slide very, very carefully, and that's just telling the question. Being a Scotsman myself, it was a horrible night when I learned about Lockerbie. Pan Am Flight 103 is blown up. That was blown up in the sky, obviously, and there was lots of debris all over Lockerbie, crashed into houses. Some of the debris killed a lot of residents in their homes. Obviously it killed other passengers, sadly, in the plane, and that was at Lockerbie. Here's Shanksville. Have a look. Can you see any debris? Can you see any bodies and anything like that? Now, admittedly, something did crash. Don't let's forget that. Something obviously did crash at Shanksville, and I'm still prepared to admit that maybe the debris was scattered over various parts of that particular area. But certainly at the main crash site, there was nothing there substantial that you could physically see at that particular time.
It just looks square. I mean, how did it look square?
Well, it's more like a kind of V-shaped kind of furrow, if you like. But I see what you mean there. So nothing was found there. And this is an aerial shot of the Shanksville area. It's not a very great photograph, admittedly. The pixelation is a bit distorted, but it shows you there that there's nothing, there's no, you know, it doesn't look to be any aircraft debris or anything like that. So that's quite unusual as well. And then we look at the Pentagon. Now, obviously, one of the other major terrorist attacks occurred at the Pentagon. And again, we go into the questions and what the conspiracy people say. Now, this is what, I mean, obviously, they say that a big aircraft like that nosed into the Pentagon. Okay, here we go. Question. So, how could an amateur pilot fly a commercial airline in a complicated manoeuvre and then crash it into one of the world's most sophisticated buildings with security cameras all over and a magnificent steep dive? Well, this is how it need to be to make this hole, and you'll see it in a minute. You need to come down. This guy's an Arab, he's only trained in Cessnas. He's never trained, allegedly, in these big aircraft there like that. So the commercial the conspiracy theorists would say that there were no aircraft debris outside the building. We'll see some photographs of this in a moment. The official report said that, oh, wait a minute, no, there were airplane wreckage, including the black boxes. They were recovered from the scene and they were catalogued by the FBI. Okay. There is a good deal of video footage of plane debris at the crash site. That's what they're saying. That's what the official report would have you believe. The remains of the crew and passengers on the plane were found and positively identified by their DNA. Okay. I know, that's all questions after questions. And witnesses claim to have seen a plane hit the Pentagon. So if a massive big plane like that did indeed hit the Pentagon, why oh why was the entry in the damage hole so small, as you'll see in a moment? If this collapsed later on, about 10-15 minutes later on, but it was just a circular hole, which you'll see in a moment. If this was a plane that crashed into the Pentagon, you would have, I mean, you don't need to be stupid. You would expect much more massive destruction, especially as the wings careered and crashed into this side of the building, but it wasn't like that. Now when you look at this slide here, again it's a bit pixelated, you can't see it so well. This was the actual hole created by something. There were unbroken windows there were no damage to a wall. You can't see it so well in this one, let's see if we've got a better slide. And yeah, I mean, the conspiracy people say that no airline wreckage was ever found at the Pentagon. Certainly nothing here in the foreground of the grassy environment there, nothing there at all. So where is this photograph? Where is the plane wreckage? If you can spot it, you're doing very well. Again, as I said, this is the collapse, the part of the roof came down after the hole, had no substance there, nothing there, visibly there. So again, I asked the question, if it was a large plane, why is this not so much damage? This is not so much damage, you know, you've got to look at these things. And again, when you look at this aerial shot of the Pentagon, there's nothing substantial out there, nothing at all. People would say, the skeptics might say that, well, wait a minute, Mark, maybe that photograph was taken hours later, and as such, the debris should have been taken away. No, not really. And the reason why is because it's a crime scene. You're meant to tape off a crime scene and go through all the debris and look at things with any crime scene. That wasn't done here, and maybe I'm a bit more good. Sorry about this.
There you go, sorted.
Sorry, job done.
Yeah. And actually, there were a number of Pentagons, because it's one of the most sophisticated buildings in the world, and the most highly security building in the world, with cameras all over the shop, all over the place. These cameras were taken away by the FBI and the CIA some hours after the actual incident itself, and we have only seen one piece of video footage of something striking the Pentagon. So why, where the official 9/11 report, why don't we get to see the rest of the footage of what struck that building? This is just a slide of something. If you go into YouTube or type in the Pentagon attack on YouTube, you will see what appears to be a white silver something. That's all I can say. A white silver something coming in and going in. Does it look like a plane? You freeze frame it, it looks like a missile. And so something went into that and exploded it quite dramatically, for sure. And yes, what are the exit holes? A lot of people don't know about the exit holes. Now, I find this incredible. Even for me, I don't understand about this aspect of it. So we're led to believe, first and foremost, if it was a plane, crashed into there, went through there and came out there. I bet some of you didn't know that, but you're going to see it in a moment. I certainly wasn't aware of this, but they found something at the other side of the Pentagon. They found an exit hole, a massive big hole at the other side. But having said that, when the plane crashed there, whatever it was crashed in there, nothing's there, nothing's there, nothing's there. So why have we got an exit hole here? What's going on here? Even if it was a missile, hello there, how you doing?
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. As long as, have you got a note? So as you can see, there is an exit hole here, but nothing at this particular. In fact, we can get a seat here. Let's get a seat there. Yeah. Oh, glasses, yeah. Yeah, if you sit there, sit there. What the screen would
I thought it would. Does it bore you? Yeah.
Is that right there? No?
No more interruptions,
And so yeah, this is just another photograph of the exit hole here, and as you can see, it's quite substantial. It's up to about 25 feet there. And this wasn't really officially put in any of the major reports, which is I find highly unusual. And was it just a case of something else has attacked it from this side? Because clearly, if it came from the other side, it wouldn't have penetrated all the other buildings, etc. Because there's only been found evidence of 2 explosions. One was at the main part of the Pentagon, and again at the back side of it there, so to speak.
That's crazy.
This is another photograph of that exit hole at the Pentagon. As I say, it's only about 25 feet, but it still caused quite a bit of damage there. And I still don't think that it came from the other side. I think something else is going on there, and I don't know why. But you can clearly see the windows smashed up there. Again, another photograph of that particular hole there. You want to sit in that seat there, sir?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and when you look at all the destruction here, that's where the entry hole from the front of the Pentagon there. These 2 windows, this is before the roof collapsed, these 2 windows, the glass is still intact. The glass is still intact in these windows. And these columns are coming out the way instead of going in the way. And so that's quite suspicious as well when you look at all that. The columns are coming out, and you've got windows that haven't even been cracked, never mind anything else. Like I said, these are bent outward, they're not pushed in. If it was an aircraft, then you would expect these columns to be pushed in, because something's penetrating that quite substantially. And yeah, so I mean that's quite unusual as well. Again, the entry hole, no damage to windows. This is again before the roof collapsed. Some fires obviously going on in the building there. So my question to you is that allegedly 19 Arab Muslims outwitted the most sophisticated military defence system in the world 4 times in succession, which is an amazing feat. They defeated the laws of physics by having collapsing buildings fall at free fall into their own footprint. And the terrorist's passport was found next to the Twin Towers in rubble, which was clean as a whistle. So you've got all this debris, and you've got a lovely, nice wee passport just sitting there under one of the alleged terrorists. Very suspicious, very suspicious. Certainly has to be, that's for sure. And again, like we said earlier, Building 7 wasn't even hit by a plane, but fell to the ground in a controlled demolition, which was suspicious as well. Oops, let's go back. Cell phone calls are made at altitudes and speeds that are usually impossible, over 2,000 feet and at over 230 miles per hour. I'm not so sure about that. These are some of the facts that I've been told recently, but I'll put it into today's presentation. Anybody has any questions about any of this, they can obviously come back to me, not a problem. That's what we're here to debate. And all of the hijackers who were on board, none of their names appear on any flight manifest. None of the hijackers allegedly were found on any of the flight manifests. And at least 5, right? At least 5 of the hijackers turned up alive and well after an apparent suicide in 9/11. They actually live in the Middle East, some of whom were interviewed by the BBC. So what's going on there? They may have died at 9/11, but they found them alive, and they're living in the Middle East. Again, these are all checkable facts. I wouldn't put none of this up here if it wasn't checkable facts. And like we've spoke about, a plane hit the Pentagon, one of the most guarded buildings in the United States, yet no CCTV footage of the actual plane exists. The wreckage, the plane parts, the luggage, the bodies were never found. What's going on here? What actually is going on here? Again, when you look at it in this example here, this massive big aircraft should have done more damage than that, and the debris should have been scattered all over the front of the Pentagon. As we said, it wasn't. This guy here, he said, it's Albert Stibbeling, the third is a retired Major General in the United States Army. Now this is an official guy, and he said, as you can see, I look at the hole in the Pentagon, and I look at the size of an airplane that was supposed to have hit the Pentagon, and I said, the plane does not fit in that hole, so what did hit the Pentagon? 9/11 was a fraud, and he's a Major General, and he got a hard time for coming out saying that. But he had to say it. He loves his country, he's a true American, and he just wanted to say, look, there's something funny here, something suspicious. Now, as we should all know, jet fuel allegedly melted the steel. That's what the official report said, it melted the steel, hence, which is feasible, weakened the support columns, and which there were many, it wasn't just 1 or 2, weakened all these support columns, and yet all this fantastic fuel And yet there's a wooden stool. There's a wee wooden stool. You've got all this fuel. It's burning and burning away. And yet, so why did they not burn that wee stool there? What's going on there? This is at the Pentagon, I believe, yes. So that's something very, very weird going on there as well. Yeah, that's the one. And I said that nothing really was found in there, but I'm led to believe that this was found in the rubble. A 9/11 Global Hawk cruise missile, turbofan wreckage here from the Pentagon. They did find this in actually the Pentagon there, and that comes off a Global Hawk cruise missile. So that would suggest that something is really fishy there with that scenario. So nothing there. You know, and this flight here crashed into a fuel station. Temperatures inside the plane reached over, just under 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and it created all this damage. Yet nothing was substantial was on the Pentagon lawn there. Nothing at all we could see. And as this slide shows you here, this is how, if it was an aircraft, this is how low it would need to be above the grass for it actually to have made that hole in the Pentagon. The flight manoeuvre from this Arab, who's only trained in Cessnas, never trained in the 757, would need to have done a complicated manoeuvre, outwit all the people, the American Air Force and everything else, and just gingerly dance above that to make this hole in the Pentagon. So this plane crashes in Egypt. The next day, pictures of it is all over the world, and yet 15 years later, we're still waiting to see pictures of the plane wreckage at the Pentagon, of which, for me personally, there ain't any.
No.
And even this, he never said this, but this is just what he probably would have said, Colombo. Just one more thing, Mr. Cheney. How did a 757 infiltrate the capital's airspace, hit the Pentagon, and not be captured on even one security camera? One more thing. And you know, I think that's kind of the question that Colombo probably would have said to Dick Cheney for sure. What's going on here? I shouldn't really put these slides in because it's not really a case to kind of joke about. Of course it's not. But this is just, you know, just to illustrate again that to make this hole, is it folding wings of an aircraft? So some final facts on this one. A lot of people do believe, including myself, that 9/11 was indeed a controlled demolition on 1, 2 and Building 7, for sure, absolutely. No problems with that. And when you look at the facts, ladies and gentlemen, only $600,000 were spent investigating what happened, right, at the World Trade Centers. That's a minuscule amount of money, opposed to $40 billion, I think that is, to investigate the Bill Clinton sex scandal. More money was spent on investigating Bill
Let's
Clinton's
not go in there with Hillary.
shenanigans. And only that was spent on investigating the World Trade Centers. Now you make up your own minds what is more important. You know, I'm sure you know the answer to that one. Now, look at this again. Think about this one as well. Think very, very carefully about this one. You're not stupid, you're intelligent people. Any crime scene, what happens at a crime scene? It's all taped off and people sift through the rubble and this and that. Not here. A few hours after this, it wasn't even taped off. All that was shipped away and moved to another site. Now, people would say, yeah, it was moved to another site, Malcolm, just because they had to go through it there. Not really. You've got to work on the crime scene itself. You don't take it away and look at it elsewhere. That was a crime scene. It wasn't roped off. You should have done some investigations there. It wasn't. It didn't happen there. And that's you know, people may have their own answers and feelings on why that was, but it sounds very, very strange to me. And here's another interesting fact as well. And just months before 9/11, the World Trade Center's lease was sold to Larry Silverstein. Now he took out an insurance plan that fortuitously covered terrorism. Now after 9/11, Silverstein took the insurance company to court, claiming he should have been paid double because there were 2 attacks. He actually won, as you can see here. He was won this amazing sum of money. So, you know, he's taken out this lease just prior to it, and he's quids in now. This guy's quids in on the back of a horrible tragedy that killed hundreds of people. Very sick guy, if you ask me. Now, the day before, September 11th, Donald Rumsfeld admitted to the Pentagon that they had lost $2.3 trillion in the actual Pentagon there itself. Well, the whole 9/11 scenario. And the official, the officer, the people responsible for finding the money just happened to be targeted the very next day. So again, you can see there's something very suspicious going on just prior to 9/11 tragedy. There's something, for me personally, yeah, there's clearly something very mysterious going on. And but what do I think? What do I think is just a guy, and that's just some of the facts that I would like to talk to you lovely people today, because there's so much more involved with this. But what do I think? Do I think who's responsible? Is it Al-Qaeda? Or is it the United States themselves? Well, first and foremost, I don't believe for one moment that fires brought down the Twin Towers, especially building number 7, not a bit of it, absolutely not. I believe that the Pentagon was hit by a missile, absolutely, for sure, not a plane. I believe that Flight 93 was also hit by a missile, an American missile. Now this is very controversial. I've only given this lecture a couple of times and I've not been lynched yet. If I give it America, I probably would do, but there you go. This is my thoughts, and people who share these thoughts the world over as well. For me personally, I honestly believe that this stacks for me as an inside job, clearly an inside job for sure. But the thing we have to remember is...
Works better with Obama's face, actually.
It is a bit, yeah, it is a bit.
It's not different enough, though, is it? Sorry, my bad.
I mean, it is a bit funny, but we have to look at these things seriously and address questions and address things in life. And it was a horrible tragedy, as we all know, but we need to find the real culprits. We need to find out truly who was behind it. I mean, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, for instance, the Americans orchestrated that. There's so many things America's done to give them cause to march into countries now, and I could be here all day telling you that. And was 9/11 another instance of that? But like I said, let us never, ever, ever forget that the actual, you know, those who died on that day. The investigation by National Institute of Standards and Technology, for me, has many, many holes in it. It does not give you all the facts. The mums and dads and brothers and sisters of those people who lost their kin on that horrible day are still demanding that there's a proper investigation as to what truly happened there. It's all a case of examining the evidence yourself. You've got to have a look at the evidence yourself. Now, there is whys and wherefores. You might go onto a website and you might get your question addressed. But look at it very, very carefully. There's more to this than meets the eye, for sure, absolutely. There is this website, if anybody's interested to look at more information about this particular website. It's www.9-11cc.org. Check it out, and by God, it gives you far, far more facts on this website that I've just slowly presented here this afternoon, for sure. Now we're going to take a quick 15-minute break, and after that we're going to come back and I'm going to show you, lovely lot, some of the best ghost photographs that I've seen over many, many years. I'm also going to talk about some photographs of the Virgin Mary, and then I'm going to speak gingerly about the Cottingley Fairies as a lead-up to Alien, the lovely Alien Bill here this afternoon. And after that we're going to obviously have, and I'm going to speak about some of my own UFO encounters over the years as well. And Bill, we're going to go into your talk about the fairy photograph afterwards as well.
No, I never had.
Before we take a break, I'll come and break. Before we have a break, has anybody got any questions or anything that they want to ask us about?
Don't start me off, Malcolm.
Make them an easy question.
The Twin Towers, there were two similar airliners seen in the vicinity of a normal course, and nothing was done. The excuse was that George Bush was on holiday at the time, but I would have thought that somebody had taken the responsibility to either shoot them down or try and make contact. Nobody did that.
Yeah, I mean, what we also have to mind in that, I've only shared some facts here today. There was a major exercise ongoing that particular day as well, and then what they had to recognise, right, we've got a problem here. There's so many planes over American airspace. Which one is going to be the terrorist aircraft? And then they started gingerly to tell all the pilots who were flying these aircraft come off the skies, and they tried to get all these planes to land at various Air Force bases. bases and the national airports and stuff, and which they did, but it took them a long time to get all the aircraft out. I mean, they're not denying that these aircraft did indeed hit strike the Twin Towers, that's for sure. Some people said they had a bomb on it under the undercarriage. I don't know so much about that, but that's people speculate. But yeah, you're right, I mean, they were seen to go into the Twin Towers for sure. I've no problems with that, no problems with this. The footage is there for all to see. It's the Pentagon, it's more a concern for me. Heidi, yeah.
I was just gonna, I mean, I'd never realised there was an exit wound. That's the first time I've ever even seen that. I know there's particular interest in the entry site as to what files were stored in those particular offices, and I believe it's linked to the Black Ops budgets, the space programme, etc. Does anybody actually know what was in the exit point?
And that's the funny thing, no we don't. I mean, if they do, they're not telling us guys, you know. But you're right, it was the files that were stored in the Pentagon and building, most of Building 7 was absolutely astronomical.
Chock-a-block full of that stuff.
And they were all destroyed, and there were investigations ongoing at that time anyway. And then of course, Building 7 came down, ruined all the evidence, but yeah.
And also the security detail, I believe, were all given the day off for various high-level politicians that should have been in that area at that particular day. They were mysteriously given the day off well in advance. Yeah. That's another issue.
Any other quick questions? I've got to be here all day, but you take this. Come in first, over you.
Just Larry Silverstein's interview, he said that he told police about World Trade 7, which is the demolition, obviously that would all have to be bricked up. And also, what do you think about Dr. Judy Wood's research?
Yeah, Judy Wood's, what we tell us. Well, she's done an incredible amount of work over 9/11, as you know, and I think her research has got to be looked at by everybody in this room today for sure. And I think her research is fantastic. And I just wish Judy Woods was here today and tell painting a much better picture than I have done. Clearly, I'm very happy with Judy Woods' testimony. Definitely is.
I might be out of date, but for the first couple of years, I always asked the question, what happened to the black boxes from the two buildings?
Basic one,
anybody
evaporated.
and they were just
you've got lost with
don't black boxes always survive?
Yeah, the gentlemen, for those that didn't get the black boxes, they were allegedly recovered by the FBI, but we haven't heard anything from that, which we should, and that's again part of the investigation that the families have never heard. Let's hear some of the conversations, let's find out what was going on. So again, it's things now, absolutely horrible. Quick question, then we'll have a wee break.
I just wanted to know if you know about the janitor that was supposedly in the Twin Towers at the time, and he reported the explosion in the basement, and he helped the firefighters locate the exits and things like that. Yet he was never called forward to testify during the commission.
Wasn't that Building 7?
And yeah, I just wanted to know if you know anything more about that. I know he's gone on to give lectures and tours and obviously give his side of the story. I'm very surprised it's never been brought up.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. There was the janitor who was. In actual fact, I don't know if it's the same guy, but there was a guy getting filmed in one of the buildings. You could hear boom, boom, you could hear the explosions going off. That's prior to the plane hit. His testimony has never been successfully recorded, and it should have been, because he's an integral part of the 9/11 disaster in the sense that his testimony could have...
He was even awarded by George Bush.
He was. And that's such a shame. So, I mean, as you can see, there's certain things that you've learned here this afternoon which I would like to think it will make you question things, because it's horrible to think that American government would want to do that, kill their own people. Isn't that horrible if that was the case?
I mean, is it probably likely that Bush didn't sort of actually sort of decide, but more there was actually military people behind who took those decisions and kind of like
He's turned a blind eye.
Well,
yeah, I mean, you could say that. You could say there's a government within the government. There might be a secret government above that, and they just, you know, it's out of his control. I don't know.
I think the thing is, Malcolm, if you read the history of the CIA,
yeah.
I mean, they're an absolute criminal. They're a criminal operation,
yeah.
You know, involved in starting wars,
the mafia,
insurrection, coups, assassination, and it's actually not even the worst thing they've done. Obviously, quite even basic picks up 9/11 and CIA written all over it. Very powerful, the most powerful unlimited budget. You know, and they're above the law. The CIA, all these intelligence operations they make, they take into court, they're accountable to that really. You know?
Yeah.